Hi. So I gave a test. In this test, you can find in the grade 10 and grade 11 Y equals mx plus c books from Straight Line Publishers. So I make these videos obviously with permissions from the author. Now, you're supposed to complete a table from this raw data that is given here. So what I've done is I've indicated the 41s in red because there are so many, and the 42s in light blue because there are so many. But you then use tallies obviously to assist you to find the number of 39s. For example, there are 5 of them. So 4 stripes through 1 goes across that, and the 40s I get 7 of them. 41s, if you count them, you will see you have 13, so you can pause the video and then you can count. The 42 you get, that's 14, and 5 43s as well as 4 44s. Now, what is important is that when you add the frequencies here, they should add up obviously to 48. And if they don't add up to 48, you are over or below that, you have made a mistake. You go back and you make sure that your data is not wrong. Right, so now they want us to find the modal number of questions. Obviously, the most that appears there from the table, you can see it's 42. Now, the median number of questions now. The median, now we have got 48 and 48 is even. So median is going to be, use the formula n plus 1 was 48 plus 1. That means I'm looking for the values in the 24th and the 25th positions. So in order for you to find those values, you go to your frequency in the table because you don't have time to write down 5 39s, 7 40s, and 13 41s, and so on. So you just add. And when you add 5 plus 7, that gives you 12. And 12 plus 13 is 25. So the 24th and the 25th position is going to be here at this 41. All right, 41 will be the 24th number if you list them out, and 41 will be the 25th number if you list it out. You average that, okay, divide by 2, that gives you the median, which is 41. Right, so the next question is supposed to calculate the mean number of questions. Now the mean, you just simply multiply the 39 times 5, the number of questions, then you multiply by the frequency. 40 times 7 multiplied by the frequency, you should get 1987. You divide it by 48, you get about 41.1. Now, how many questions attempted at least? Now, my keyword is at least. That means greater than or equal to 40. So everything, the 7 here, the 13 here, the 14 here, the 5 and the 4. Or, since all of them are 48, just take away the 49 that is not part of that. The 39 that is not part of that. So when you subtract 48 minus 5, you should get 43 students have at least 40 questions or more. Right, so the second question in that test is a football team. Now it's Black Africa, so obviously the 3 points you get for winning, 1 point you get for drawing, and no points for losing. So when you can look at this table, you realize obviously they have won 10 games, 3 games they have drawn, and the Ovals lost 7 games. Okay, so you are supposed to find the median and the mode. Again, the median is the middlemost, and there are 20 of them. And obviously you use the formula n plus 1, 20 plus 1, that is 10.5. So we're looking for the 10th and the 11th position. So whenever you add, you realize that adding the frequencies, it's got to be at 3 plus 1. Okay, you get 3, which is obviously your position. The median is going to be 2 because the 10th position and the 11th position is going to be 1. So 10, you have 3 points plus that 1, because 10 and 11th position. So 3 plus 1, so obviously median is equal to 2. The mode, you can see quite clearly the ones of the highest frequency, which is 3 points. Please do not write the frequencies down. When you're looking for the median, the mode, and the mean, we are looking for the information on top there, whether it's points or scores or test scores or whatever the case may be. Right, then they say Roger wants to draw a pie chart using this information. So obviously now they say he wants to make a sector angle which shows the number of times Black Africa were given 1 point. So they were given 1.3 out of the 20. Now the 20 comes from adding the frequencies 3 out of the 20, that is where they get 1 point. So obviously you take that 3, divide it by 20, and then you multiply that by 360, and that gives you 54 degrees. All right, the angle sector, which shows the number of times Black Africa were given 1 point. They were given 1 point 3 times, and 3 out of the 20 times 360, not 100, because when you multiply by 100, you're calculating percentage, but we are looking for the angle. Now, they say Black Africa has 20 players, and this table shows the information about the heights of these players. Okay, so 5 players have got a height between 170, 180, 12 players, heights between 180 and 190, and 3 players have a height between 190 and 200 centimeters, okay, about 2 meters. Now, it's very important that you should know that we don't know exactly, like for example, between 180 and 190, we don't know exactly their heights. We just know that 12 of them have that height. So we group them there. Okay, we group them there. So when they ask you to calculate the mean, the estimate of the mean, you have to also average out that particular part. So you take the 170 plus the 180, you divide it by 2, because we don't know. That is why the mean is an estimate. We don't know the exact heights. We only know that 5 have got a height between 170 and 180 centimeters, and 12 has a height between 180 and 190 centimeters, and 3 have a height between 190 and 200 centimeters. Right, so the way you do it, if I bring my table back, you get the mid values of the groups. That you take the begin plus the end value, you divide by 2. Okay, so 170 plus 180, that is going to be 200, 350, you divide by 2. And these are the mid values that I have here, 175, 185, 195. So what we're seeing is that between 170 and 180, in that class interval, the average height there is 175. Do you see why the mean is just an estimate? So obviously then you take that average of 175, multiply it by 5, add 185 times 12, add 195 times 3, and you get 3,680 over 20. So on average, the estimate is 184 centimeters. Okay, so the estimation is made by calculating the mid-interval values for a group and assigning all the data within that group that mid-interval value. So this 185 is for all the data in this particular group of people who have got a height of 180 to 190. Right, the third question, terribly answered in the test. You have got a tree diagram here. It shows a testing procedure on calculators taken from a large batch each time that the calculator is chosen at random. The probability that it's faulty, F, is 1 over 20. So obviously P, which is the faulty P, is 1 over 20. The other one has to be 1 minus 1 over 20. It's basically just what you need to add to get 20 out of 20. So it's 19 over 20. Right, so I'm bringing them back here. 2 calculators are chosen at random. Calculate the probability that both are faulty. So what we are looking for is faulty. Okay, so if I perhaps just put in the values, all right, the faulty is the ones in red, and those light blue are the ones that are not faulty. Okay, so this question wants probability that it's faulty. 1 over 20 times 1 over 20. Now, remember this 1 over 400 that I'm getting here, 1 times 1 and 20 times 20. I'm going to use it again later in, because there's going to be a question that's going to take either or, that you want me to look at what is the probability that 2 are faulty. The first 2 are faulty, which is this 1 over 400 that I have here. So I'm going to use it again with another question, so just take note of it. All right, so in this case, probability that both are faulty is faulty, which is 1 over 20 times 1 over 20. Nothing is being removed and replaced, so you keep them. That is why the letters are the same. Then exactly 1 is faulty. Now, when 1 is faulty and you take 2 calculators, that is why I highlighted the word 2 in red. So it's either you take a faulty and a not faulty, or you take a not faulty and a faulty. Okay, a faulty 1 over 20 and a not faulty, or a not faulty and a faulty. So that's giving you 1 over 20 times 19 over 20. Add the same thing then. So you get 19 over 200. Remember, whenever you are dealing with fractions, you only add the numerators. 19 plus 19 is 38, and 38 over 400 simplifies to 19 over 200. Right, so exactly one of the calculators is tested, is faulty, then a third is chosen at random. Now you're supposed to calculate the probability that one of the first two is faulty and the third one is faulty. So that is the one of the first two, so that is 1 over 20 times 19 over 20, and also 19 over 20 times 1 over 20, which we know from previously, but now, and the third one is faulty, so for it to be faulty, I must multiply again by 1 over 20, 1 over 20. So you get 19 over 4,000 whenever I simplify 38 over 8,000. So please make sure you pause, go back to the question, refer back and see where you went wrong. Now, part D, the whole batch of calculators is rejected when this happens. Either if the first two chosen are both faulty. Remember what I was saying, 40, 40, that value 1 over 400 that we had before. Or a third one needs to be chosen and is not faulty. Okay, so it's that 1 over 4,000 that I'm indicating in black, plus obviously the third one that is faulty from my previous answer here. Okay, so if you add this, you make the denominators the same and so on and so on, you get 29 4,000ths, and this is the answer. Please do not write this as decimals. Now, in 1 month, 1,000 batches of calculators are tested in this way. So they are testing it in this way. How many are expected to be rejected? So we know already what is the probability for a calculator to be rejected. It's 29 over 4,000. Simply multiply that by 1,000. Now you get 7.25 calculators. Now you can't have 7.25 calculators. So you also can't round down. So 8 calculators will be rejected. Okay? So this is what we are looking at. Okay, so I know this test was rushed, maybe the way I explain it, but you have the luxury of pausing the video, going back and compare with the answers you have. If you have the y equals mx plus c grade 10 and 11 book, this is the second book that deals with statistics and probability. There is a revision test, and that is where these questions were taken from.